Hi guys, Paul here from Meldrum Performance Coaching and the Complete Personal Trainer podcast. So we're going to be sticking with the topic of communication for today. And with communication, I had a post come up not that long ago where I talked about 5 of the most common mistakes that trainers make when communicating to clients. Very common for fitness professionals to shame goals, to talk about how it's bad, that people want the tone, talking over clients to demonstrate your so-called intellectual superiority, getting bored answering the same questions, not speaking to the client on their level, and finally, the fixer narrative. So this is the one I wanted to dive into today. The fixer narrative is basically when you tell a client everything that they've got wrong with them and that you're the one who can fix them and can provide them with the answers. And I'm seeing it a lot on social media at the moment, where it's a real dichotomy, where people are saying absolutely never to give the client any kind of fixer type narrative, versus some people who are gloating about how fast they can solve their clients' problems and that they can fix them using their magic that they have. And I wanted to dive into this one because this is something where I've fallen prey to both aspects of that narrative over time. So in the past, I've done a lot of musculoskeletal treatment and I'm pretty good at it. And so a lot of time people would come to me and like, yeah, I can fix that, I can fix that, I can fix that, was the attitude that I brought to it. And this wasn't really the most helpful attitude because A, if it didn't work, it was a real letdown for those clients. And B, the other thing with the fixer narrative is it made people dependent on me and it took away their autonomy over the situation and their ability to get better. So, what we want to do as personal trainers with the fixer narrative, it kind of actually starts off from our marketing and how we speak to people in that, and then how we present ourselves during our assessments and consultations with our clients. So, in our marketing, it's more our organic marketing than our paid for marketing, because paid marketing won't, at least on social media, won't allow you to say that you can fix things and you can solve back pain and all those other things, because it doesn't let you do anything on social media paid marketing. So we don't really need to worry about that. Organic marketing, promoting the fixer narrative, is a pretty harmful way to be doing things, in terms of saying, yeah, I solve all these clients' problems, because A, you probably don't. It's probably just the body healing over time. Most of the time, that is where it is. And you can't objectively prove that your intervention actually was the solution to that client's problem. So by doing that, it's kind of a disingenuous way of marketing yourself to your clients or to your potential clients and getting an outcome from that. So that isn't as big a deal. The bigger deal is when you're actually doing your consultation process with your clients. So I'm a big advocate of movement screens. That's not really a secret. I'm a big advocate of assessment. Again, not really a secret. And there's a bit of a pushback against assessment. Of course, you're going to do the same type of stuff with people regardless. Yes, to a point. No, if you're going to do a really good job. So if you are assessing people, what you're looking for with the assessment and how you should phrase it and how you should present it and sell it to your clients is that you're not looking at doing the assessment to find out what's wrong with them. You're looking to optimize their training program from that and to really capitalize on their strengths and where they can get better. And so you can design a program where they don't have to mess around with stuff that's not really the most useful thing for them, but it's going to put them in the direction of what they can do best already and what they can succeed with. So, for example, with the movement screen I do, it screens leg raise variation, and that's kind of the screen that we use to go into a deadlift progression, and then there's a couple of different assessments that come from that based on someone's results. So we test their glute function, we test their reflexive core speed, we test their sternocostal angle, we test, there's another one I'm sure, passive hamstring and passive hip mobility, to see what kind of impacts they're having on the overall leg raise screen that we're doing at the beginning. Now, we're not doing this to go, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, and we need to fix it, and we can do that. That's not really what we're trying to communicate with the clients from it. What we're looking at is where can we basically avoid making mistakes in our programming rather than telling the client something wrong with them. So if a client comes to me with a crappy leg raise, I'm not going to say, you've got a crappy leg raise, if you try and do a deadlift, you're going to blow your back out and do a disc, because and you need me to fix it. That's not really a powerful narrative for the client. That's going to really set them up for failure and set them up for potential injury. What I would do with communicating that to the client is say to them, hey, we found your leg raise is here. I don't think deadlifts are going to be the best use of your time right now. Let's do this instead and get some really awesome results. We'll deal with that in later. Soon enough, you'll be deadlifting anyway. How does that sound? We'll get some progress now, focus on what you're good at, and then we can deal with that down the track. You don't even have to bother with it. It's not the right thing for you. That's a much more powerful narrative because you're getting them to focus on something that they're going to be good at already, and you're going to focus it from a performance outcome. If someone wants to do deadlifts and you find that they probably haven't got the orthopedic or the movement profile to do the deadlift, a better way to communicate it would be, hey, we've done this screen. What I found is with some of the current mobility and stability stuff we have happening, we're probably going to struggle a little bit with deadlifts. We're not going to hurt, we're just not going to progress very fast, and you'll find it frustrating. So let's focus on strengthening these muscles through this, and that approach. Then we'll do a few key things to that. Soon enough, we'll be able to deadlift, and when you do it, you're going to absolutely blast through the progressions. You'll be able to lift a heap of weight real quickly. How does that sound? So most people don't actually mind being told that they need to do something to be better at something. I approach it much more like a skill-based context rather than a pain and injury-based context. And when you use a skill-based context, it's really easy to see how important teaching things progressively is versus just letting people do things with no regard for technique or form, anything like that. Because what we do know now is that technique and form doesn't have a huge bearing on someone's injury risk, but it does have a pretty good bearing on someone's performance. And there is an optimal technique for each individual, not for the exercise in general, but for each individual. So I often use an analogy of like shooting a basketball. You can shoot a basketball any way you want, but if you get the right technique and you do it well, you're going to be much more accurate down the track. So if we do a couple of preparatory drills, we're going to get better outcomes later on. So if we can actually frame our approach in this way, we're going to find we're going to get a lot more out of our clients. The client's going to feel a lot more empowered by it, and they're going to know that you're a coach who actually cares about their skill, about their performance, and their best outcomes, rather than going, oh, you're going to get injured, I can fix you, or it doesn't matter how you lift, let's just go for it. It's finding that middle ground, again, where technique matters for performance reasons, and where you're giving them the best possible decisions that you can make for the program design with their success in mind. So guys, with the fixer narrative, that's what I'll talk about with that. I'll come back tomorrow or the next day and talk a little bit more in detail about some of the other issues with our communication with our clients. See you soon.